Let's open up talking about flakiness. Because, woo boy, is there ever an increase of friends canceling plans at the last minute with you, right? So, opening question. Hope you gathered with your people. Vent away about someone's rude behavior canceling on you at the last moment. Go ahead and vent. You agree with me, right? It's happening so much more frequently. Ooh. So here's the next question. Why aren't people valuing time commitments to each other anymore? Have that conversation together. This is a tender topic, right? Because this is really revealing a lack of etiquette. Ooh, there's a big word. But it's a lack of etiquette because it's giving zero consideration to the work you put into planning the party, the expectations you had, the ideas you had in your head to just even meet up for dinner and to be canceled at the last minute. It puts such little consideration into you. It essentially says, you don't matter enough for me to show up. Which is probably why it triggered the conversation that you had. Sure did when we did this in person. So friendships are often forged in the conversations that occur when we're playing together, hanging out together, attending parties, camping, hiking, picnicking, goofing off. These are the occasions where people let their guards down and share more deeply, and you find out their moral code. We make these kinds of friends by having small talk. And so many of us hate small talk. But this is a necessary step. So this one's going to be all about those tips on how to make friends. All right, take notes. There's lots of little ideas here. So in a world with more isolation and loneliness than ever, in an economy that encourages it, I say we need more small talk. This is the brave decision you can make because we need to do something to help this world full of loneliness and isolation. While you also may hate small talk, I'm going to say you probably hate the wrong kind of small talk. This is not talking about the weather. That's useful in the beginning, but it's really a pointless conversation. I want you to retrain your thinking that small talk is an opportunity, not an annoyance. Whatever room you're entering, you become the warm light. Place your eyes on people, a smile on your face. Your face is not in your phone, and look of curiosity on your face, a look of anticipation that there is something for you in this place. There's an opportunity here for you somehow, some way. Decide to avoid the predictable superficiality. This is your brave decision. Small talk is not transactional. Take out that assumption before you even begin. Jesus started his conversations, most of them with small talk. John 4:7, when a Samaritan woman came to draw water, Jesus said to her, "Will you give me a drink?" And we know this conversation went way deeper than that. But it had to start somewhere, didn't it? So you make the decision, the brave decision, to go first. Start the conversations. The reason why we don't start conversations is because we're bad at predicting how much we will enjoy them. Sherry Turkle wrote in her book, Alone Together. I read this book. She writes about the 7-minute mark at which conversations take a turn, the point when the usual opening gambits, pleasantries about the weather or sports have run out, and there's a palpable pause. And someone has to take a risk. It takes 7 minutes for a conversation, a real one, to begin. So you got that 7 minutes, and then something flips. Either you're going to turn to your phone and signal, I'm out of this conversation, or you're going to take that risky next question. Right? This book was written more than a decade ago, so I'm also wondering if it's less than 7 minutes these days. But let's just go with that. Maybe if you could, at that palpable moment, as she wrote, that 7 minute mark, or you just know when that is, if you decide, I'm going to stick it out and ask the next question and see if we go to the next level. You might make a friendship. You might learn something. Who knows? It's 7 vulnerable minutes, I know, but give it a try. The longest conversation ever recorded in the Bible is this one between Jesus and this Samaritan woman. It was longer than 7 minutes. But that conversation changed this woman's life, who then went and told her village, and they changed that village's life. So they got to that point, went to that next step, and a good conversation was had. So, another tip. Get to know every server at your local coffee shop, restaurant, or grocery store. Look them in the face when you go in there and have them serve you. This person then becomes a person to you, and you become a person to them. This is intentional, maybe awkward. It's easier, of course, to be behind your phone when you're doing this. I'm saying, let's switch this up. The world becomes more than just a server and a customer in this case. It's person to person. This person has a name. This person is serving you. This person is blessing you. Why, thank you, Sherry, for my coffee today. Something like that. You just never know. But these simple acts of kindness literally increase your oxytocin levels throughout the day. Whether you talk to that person again or not, your levels have increased by talking to another face. And this bonds you to fellow human beings. This makes you basically braver and braver and braver to do it again. If you can do it to your coffee person, you can maybe do it to your server. You might be able to do it at that next dinner party. Okay? And joy is always attached to our, we talk to faces. Joy is one of those immediate things. We have a science about that. Get comfortable being around people who are smarter than you. There's a good tip. Deal with your own insecurities. It will make you better. But it also is the key to creating an exceptional life team. If you always have to be the smartest person in the room, you'll eventually end up alone. All right. Another tip. Become an active listener. When someone is an active listener, they're able to seek similarity with someone else. Somehow, some way, you're looking for that similar item. It's impossible to show empathy or celebrate the positive in a person without first hearing from them. Without an awareness of similarity, empathy, and celebration, friendships just don't get started. The inability or disinterest in asking meaningful questions that indicate an interest in another person is a huge impediment to making friends. Listening is not the same as hearing or waiting. Therapists refer to active listening to distinguish between giving someone your full concentration and just passively hearing them. With active listening, it means you are not planning on what you will say next. Tip right here. I know you're looking for that similarity of how you can say something and say, yes, me too, and here's my story. You're finding that similarity, but you don't need to say it out loud. You found it in your head, but just continue to listen fully until it's your window to talk. You will have to trust yourself more to allow the person to be the talker of the conversation, because you are more interested in the person you're talking to than talking about yourself. Besides, something that person said may lead you to the next question. You might miss that if your head is full of thinking about what you might say about yourself. Did I just give you a memory of why you hate small talk so much? Because you've been trapped in those one-way conversations? Whew. That's a sign of a taker, by the way. That's a sign of a friendship you probably won't be making. But if you're trapped in one, just see it through to the end. And then recognize, oh, that's a taker. I'm not going to become friends with that person. And then pay attention to who you're talking to. Try to remember one interesting nugget from that person in case you see that person next time. Just record one interesting nugget. So there's a question. Active learning seminars are often part of the workplace. What other tips have you learned that I didn't mention? Because active listening is a good one. It's a hard one. So what other tips have you learned that I didn't mention? Have that conversation. Here's another tip. Watch your negative self-talk. Negative self-talk can be a huge barrier to your confidence, a huge barrier as to why you don't want to engage in small talk. I mean, it's that inner mean girl that tells you you're not good enough or that you're going to fail or that nobody likes you. She's harsh. He's harsh. And that keeps you out of small talk because his voice is so loud in your head. Minimize that voice. Make the brave decision to try small talk anyway and see what happens. Share the real you, not the masked you. Give this person who you may never see again the dignity of seeing the real you. Because the real you is probably pretty awesome. You letting someone else know that they matter shows that awesome you care about people, which is why you are awesome. Okay? We believe in generous assumptions in this church. We talk about that a lot in this church. So often we begin with the thought that the person who is not yet your friend has life all figured out so you can possibly be friends with them. And you're just going to come up short. Why do they need to talk to me? I'm just me. Blah, blah, blah. But if you can make the generous assumption that she believes that about you too, that she might think you have it all figured out, and why would I want to be friends with her? You just don't know, because you both can figure life out together if you become friends. So have the conversation. Another tip. Try to be less busy, less distracted. And this is a decision you have to make. You need to get your face out of your screen. I know that keeps you safer. It's a distraction. It makes you look so important, of course. But just make that decision when you're in this room, when you're going to be meeting new people, you're going to be whatever reason you gathered together with these people, that you will put your phone down and you'll sit in the uncomfortable and have that small talk without your phone in your hand. I want to talk to you just a little bit about smartphones and how they're interfering in our relationships. There's a lot of reasons why, but I'm just going to add this once more. When we use our phones to sidestep boredom, to entertain ourselves, it's not just that we waste time and we could use to do more productive things like noticing a server, which matters, by the way. See tip back there a couple of times ago. It's that we have no opportunity to develop virtue, to build positive traits within ourselves, because we aren't pursuing good when we're using our phones. We're not pursuing the goods we've talked about in this series. We're not pursuing beauty, friendship, justice, health, knowledge, and play. We're just hanging out with our mindless phones. Because of this, using your phone won't make you a better person in the vast majority of cases. It won't help you flourish as you pursue the goods. And at the same time, using your phone will often make you a worse person. It will cultivate habits of self-absorption, insecurity, pettiness, vanity, and laziness. These emerge as we entertain ourselves excessively. Yeah, you kind of see that worse person behavior, right? Okay, another tip. We have this real problem of boomer asking. And no, this is not about being a baby boomer in small talk conversations. This is what seemed like a genuine expression of interest in you suddenly shifts and becomes a chance for your friend to brag, complain, or simply share about herself. Like the looping arc of a boomerang, boomer askers ask a question, let their counterpart answer, and then immediately bring the focus of the conversation back to themselves. They try to achieve two conflicting goals at once, to show interest in you and disclose something about themselves, but they miss achieving either goal. This person is a taker, and you're stuck in a conversation that you thought was an honest one with an honest question. Now you're stuck in it. Serve out the 7 minutes. Just go, taker, and pursue another small talk conversation. These small talk conversations do lead to opportunities. You just never know. But you gotta say it. These lead to opportunities. Stay with that curious face, because you never know what opportunity you might run into. These small talk conversations involve vulnerability. Not too much. Don't be an oversharer. Ooh, no, don't be a love bomber. No. But just recognize you're going to show them you. You're pretty awesome. That's some vulnerability. Just enough. Lots of tips here. Here's your next conversation question. What other tips have you learned? Here's your time to share them. Sure wish I could hear these tips, but you go ahead and share them. Okay, this one has been all about small talk and those things to how to make friends that are important. So I want to ask and close with two thoughts. Can you see a person, any person? You're walking into that room, you know you're going to have small talk in the situation you're walking into. Can you see that any person you talk to is endowed with an immortal soul made in the image of God? As Jesus would see that person, so important to Jesus that Jesus would die for that person. You know, the tips shared here tonight, the ones you guys shared with your people and the ones I gave you that came from my own group that we meet on Friday nights together, you know, they have little to do with the way of Jesus. This is just smart, brave living. You know, you don't need to embrace the vulnerability of friendships to make new friendships like this and be a Christian. You can do this as a non-Christian. But I just wanted to say, I really believe this in my soul. The way of Jesus unites you to your Creator, gives you the gift of forgiveness and the promise of eternity in heaven. To get the goods of life, knowledge, beauty, friendship, play, practical reasonableness are benefits of the way of Jesus. This is what leads to happiness in the chaos of this life. These goods come easier when you follow Jesus because they are just the outflow of what Jesus taught. A relationship with Jesus is a relationship with benefits. So let's give that teaser to say, trust the way of Jesus as you make new friends and put them on your life team. You don't need Jesus to do it, but it is a relationship with benefits and it comes easier. I'll see you again.